Res fortissima. In perception. Alicia Moneva. Nacho Angulo. Creating his work. I got a box. It's a very big one. It's about 1 meter long and about 1 meter wide. In this box, several blind people are going inside it so that they can see what I'm going to do in the box. What I have done is to work with the walls, with wood pieces and other materials. There are different shapes I don't want to mention now because I want the people who enter the box can name these shapes and see what happens when they feel them with their fingers, I suppose. These pieces have different textures as well to create something like a common sea where they sail. And there are colors also. My intention has been to create that kind of space and see that they tell us about, which is much more interesting than what I can say. Asier Vázquez. Well, wood is a hot material, and there are these structures which are very related with nature, water, air, but at the same time they are related with time. You can be still, but things flow, move, go ahead and return. And this figure behind here is very interesting because it is the biggest one, and it's funny that the shape is a circle. I don't know, it can be either the sun, the earth. All this is quite regular, but again, behind it we can find something very irregular and very big, and I don't know yet how to interpret it, but it is at my back. I mean, the artist has his work in front of him when he was representing it, but now I have this shape behind me, and that must mean something. In some way, it is either protecting you or following you. Javier Cuenca. Well, my general impression is like being in a house, a small house, and there are fantastic figures, random shapes. I'm not very sure if they try to express a world of fantasy, but I think my fingers cannot know the purpose of the artist. I know there are square shapes, spheric shapes, but I don't know if this is a landscape, even a space landscape, but I think I don't understand very well what the artist is trying to tell us. What I can say is that I feel comfortable here. It is something playful to touch objects like a pier, for example, and it is like a game for me. It is a good feeling inside. I would say that the color is strong, but it is just through my fingers I can say that. It is not an unpleasant color, not rough, not aggressive, but very intense.
Luz Laine. I think it means that I am sitting in front of a tree shape, a big structure, and there are walls or doors at both sides. On the left door, there is something very heavy, but the hearts must have a sentimental value, and this gives the idea of having something very important behind that door. I could imagine this is my past. On the other side, the right door, there are much lighter shapes with vertical structures pointing high up and ahead, so this could be my future. And at my back, it is my life tree with fruits hanging from it and branches crossing over. Segunda Silva. I am inside a box with a ceiling, but the front side is open. The sound and smell are very special. On the left side of the box, there are very irregular and strange shapes with different textures, triangles or something similar. And as you go down, some structures appear again, but others are completely new. I think it is a geometrical structure, but I must say it is like abstract art and I cannot get the exact meaning of the whole thing. On the right side, there are vertical wood pieces which gives the whole structure an idea of something very peculiar. I'm not very good describing it, especially the fact of being inside a box. And now the surprise, because I didn't expect there could be anything else at the back. There are new figures, round, square, long structures. I thought the box was empty, but it is amazing that it is full of objects. Manuel Espejo. I am sitting here in a box with a strange smell. It is something a bit claustrophobic, but the front side is opened. There are two different spaces. On one hand, the outer space, which is open, and inside a closed space, and the ceiling. Well, there are many sticks. They go down, but you try to look for something like trying to find our way. Some of these structures tell us how to get the way through the textures. On the other side, the sensation is very different. There are balls that perhaps you don't have to follow so clearly. I mean, on the left side, there are more parallel lines, though Many of them are obliquous, but you have to explore your own way, and the balls mean that this way is more open. And here it is much more claustrophobic, and there is a light that I cannot see, but I feel the heat. There are wood lines that tell me that the path is less clearer than before. There are not different textures, so we must go on searching. To my impression is that the longer you stay in the box, the more difficult is to find the way out, because you have fewer clues. At the end, you can have a clearer idea of the exploration: geometrical figures, lines, spheric shapes, and this gives me the idea that our way is more difficult to find. Maybe if I had started the exploration by the other side, I mean the way I explore and which side I explore first, is important to have a different perception of this box. Juan Manuel Ramallo. As one is inside a wardrobe, on your right hand there are good sticks, and on the left side they are vertical. On the right side the sticks are horizontal, which can have a political and social meaning, but I'm not going to talk about it now. Well, the back side confuses me a little because there are more different figures and there are not so many sticks. They are very different. Both hearts at the top are very well tidied up with a square structure. Everything else is much more random, but this is different and I should have to think about it. Here at the back there is something like a nipple. All is full of female breasts. Well, they are not exactly breasts, but if we want to give a Freudian explanation, we could say that the sticks mean something phallic, but the fact of being with female breasts can mean being inside a maternal belly, cozy, hot, comfortable, but locked up. And it is something children can play with. I mean, when they get a present that usually is wrapped up in a big box, when they can play to get into it. In that sense, something like going back to childhood. I compare this right side with a military march, something like bun, bun, bun. Very tidy, geometrical, a very simple structure, all very vertical, bringing to me the idea of hard discipline. The left side, I don't know, because it has its own rhythm, but not so regular and uniform. It is different. And then at the back, it is an absolute chaos. The whole structure does not follow a pattern, so chaos. José Enrique Esteso. Well, I am inside here. It is a work of art, and there is very little room. A piano could not enter here, for example. We can say it is a vital triptych. One represents a birth. The left wall, there are many hearts where we can see the love a person is looking for, and the back, the fruits, would mean children, the future, and the end of life. That is my perception, and I think it has been very interesting being here. Ana Patricia Espejo. I like the box. I don't know what the author wants to tell us, but when I came inside, I remembered the houses we built when we were children, made with mattresses representing doors, though it is not likely that my impression has something to do with the intention of the artist. Pachi Garcia. What I like most is this: to get into a work of art. I had never done this before. I don't know the meaning of all these structures: vertical, horizontal, spheric shapes, many hearts. It is very funny to get in here. Maite Martín Sastre. So suddenly, my impression is I am inside a box, which is a bit machine as well. There is a lot of movement around me. It can be wind passing by very quickly, or everything moves, all goes on very quickly, faster than on my right hand. I also have a feeling as if something was throwing me somewhere, but not forward, which would be the usual. It throws me backwards, where there are more shapes and more sensations, more feelings. Behind me I can see the sand and the moon over a map of Spain, and now I think I am on a spaceship, seeing everything from high up. I am in a phone box, looking down and back. I am in the space, a bit twisted, turning a little. I also hear a strange sound. When I speak, I feel claustrophobic, but it is comfortable. This makes me think I am in a ship. I am very hot, and this gets me away from the idea of wind and approaches me to the idea of a machine, because the color is metallic and it takes me to a machine moving from the wood to the metals like iron. That is what color inspires me. Instead of trying to leave the box, I feel comfortable and want to remain here. I have a feeling like a womb. I think it is very interesting because they analyze through their fingers, a very detailed analysis, and they go back to the global thing. What I and all sighted people do is to have a global idea and then analyze details. However, what our friends, blind friends, do is going little by little, piece by piece, looking for a structure, an idea, and describing every piece. But sight is very powerful and takes you to something global. Lorena Carmona. I am going to start describing how I feel inside here. It is like a present. Everything golden. I feel very well. It reminds me of Gothic triptychs with so much gold, the pieces of wood. It is like a present. It seems like the parts of astrolabes, all sets to measure the stars, watches, and so that. Like a magic door. The right side is again like a present, with doors like in a castle. Something magic. I like it very much. Carmen Martin. I am in a box, but it looks like a trunk, like the ones that were used in the past, in the 20s and 30s, to travel, where the passengers took their hats and dresses. This is my impression. And then decoration, the hearts, like in a Fred Astaire's films, with all this decoration, and suddenly there is a safe, a girl dancing, a secret door, and then a hidden wheel appears, and they dance although there is a storm. And it also reminds me of the illusionist's trunk. It is like a movie. When they open the trunk, there is a girl and the walls with golden decorations. But it also remember that when I was a little girl, my parents locked me up in the bathroom to read my comics. It is a very intimate space with my dreams, and that made me happy. It is a space where you go in. There are only memories, good memories, and no problems, like in a movie. Maribí Núñez. This could mean a labyrinth and different paths, and depending on which one you take, you can find some things or others. The heart can mean that when you arrive here, you have found love, though you can also lose it. Here it can mean that we are in a more horizontal period, and these balls can be these things we have to catch sometimes so as not to lose ourselves. And now the backside, which has nothing to do with the rest. I think it is an alien aircraft. Beatriz Carmona. Well, I feel a bit locked up. That is the truth. The colors are the opposite of being oppressed, but I really feel almost as if I was in a coffin. This is maybe because Now I have a very similar situation. There are many hearts, and the texture is cold, as if I was inside a box with dead things. But it has hearts and a golden color, and this makes me feel well. And now this is very different. On one hand, it looks like a map of Spain, and it is like watching the mental images of machine makers. Perhaps if I stay a little bit longer, I feel better, but I don't like a lot the feeling. Lucia Brenja. I feel part of the box more than any other thing. And after all the things people have said, I feel I am taking all this. I cannot say if I could describe the shapes or sight leaves me to squares, lines, spaces. This space limits me physically. It does not take me to any different place. I am locked. Oh, I can see a chocolate here. I couldn't find memories here. I would like the idea of seeing myself in this space. Luis Martos entitling the work. Either blind or sighted people, what we see is an illusion. The idea of the Platonic cavern, the shadow, reality is outside. To leave the cave is to abandon the body, and you feel immortal. The color, Christmas, chocolate, party increases the idea of illusion. We live in a sensitive world, which is a huge deceit, and all of us have been educated in this Platonic idea that the real world is out. The world is our representation. We all want to interpret, and blind people have done it very well. In this sense of interpretation, we all are right. The problem is the point between illusion and deceit. Is that difference of deceit what brings anxiety? To try to satisfy it is our experience in life, the illimited experience to leave the body. Describing the experience has been neutral for everybody. The most simple thing is to call it a thing. So I entitle this Res Fortissima. In perception, to appreciate art through all senses.